Yeah, 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 yeah. Me and three friends one summer at the Hiawassee, Georgia County Fair. Could not believe our view. We stopped and stared at a local politician saying, send them back to Africa, they don't belong here. What happened next seemed kinda like a joke at first, while the rest of us just turned to walk away. Billy smeared his face and hands with Georgia clay and started singing, I shall not be moved, I shall not be moved. I watched men who gathered round the politician try to threaten Billy with their angry fists.
Good morning, Unity of Sarasota. I'm Rob Satori. Going to start a song with written by a carpenter. No, it's not Jesus. It's sung by Karen Carpenter, and a lot of people you will remember this one. Bless the beasts and the children, for in this world they have no voice. They have no choice. Bless the beasts and the children, for the world can never be the world they see. Line their way when the darkness surrounds them. Give them love, let it shine all around them. Bless the beasts and the children, give them shelter from a storm. Keep them safe, keep them warm. Light their way when the darkness surrounds them. Give them hope, give them love, let it shine all around them. Bless the beasts and the children, give them shelter from a storm. Keep them safe, Bless the beasts and the children. Oh. Bless the beasts and the children. Thank you.
Hello? She's live, not Memorex. That's good. I just want to say something about that song. It's probably reminiscent for many of us, but it's really appropriate. Can you bring this down just a little bit, please? It's really appropriate because in the time of Jesus, children were not highly regarded and they were not particularly treated well. And so what an appropriate song for us to bless the beasts and the children, right? And in these days, some of the beasts are not treated terribly well and some children aren't. And so let's make that a prayer of blessing for all of them, okay? I'm Reverend Dr. Susie Shadle. I welcome you to Unity of Sarasota, where something good is always happening. And week before last, I was in Chautauqua, New York at this fabulous conference, did the Sunday service there on the 18th. And I said, I'm Reverend Dr. Susie Shadle from Unity of Sarasota, where something good better be happening right now. So I trust that it did. Yeah, I heard good, wonderful things. So, yay. Part of being a minister is to pick good people to replace you when you're not here. So I'm glad you enjoyed John Stringer. Wow. It's good to be back. I had a wonderful time. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. But in the meantime, I just want to say that if you are a guest here for the first time, I would love it if you would stand up and remain standing. We'd like to find out where our visitors visit from. Anyone new here today? Great. And where are you visiting us from? I'm from Bradenton. Yay. All right. Making the long journey from Bradenton, and I think there are a few other folks that did the same journey, right? Yeah. You too. Okay. And where are you visiting us from?
We just moved here from Omaha.
Excellent. Welcome home. Terrific. Sarasota is a great place. I moved from Seattle, and I love Sarasota. I think it's a great place to live, great place to be. So welcome to your new home. What I want you to know is that we have welcome packets out there in the lobby. If you didn't already get one, please pick one up on your way out. There's lots of good information about Unity in that welcome packet, and there's a welcome card clipped to the back of it, and we'd love for you to fill that out so that we can learn a little bit about you and keep you in touch with some of the things that are going on here, because as you probably have guessed, things are in flux yet again. We're getting used to, hey, what are we doing this week? So it's all changing, so stay tuned. But we do invite you to do that and to just leave it on the lobby table or put it in one of the offering plates on your way out. We'd love to stay in touch. And we promise not to be a nuisance, but just be informative. I also want to welcome those who are joining us on our live stream broadcast over the internet from our website, unityofsarasota.org. Let's wave to the folks that are home. Hello, glad to have you with us. We have people from all over the country that join us on that live stream as well these days. So people that may never actually get here in person, but they're checking us out from across the country. So that's a wonderful, good thing that has come out of this time with COVID. You can also re-look at the talk if you'd like by going to the website, unityofsarasota.org, and click the services tab, church services tab, and you'll be able to see it again. Or you can go to our Facebook page, or you can go to our YouTube page and see a recording of today's talk and other talks as well. It's wonderful to have you guys here to celebrate with us, for me to be able to celebrate with you, to be back and celebrate with my own community and instead of other communities, although that's always fun. So it's wonderful to be here, and it's wonderful to have you here as well. Our board member of the day is Carolyn Roberti, if you would stand. This is Caroline, actually. I was around somebody who pronounces it Carolyn, so now I'm going to have to get back to the right pronunciation for you. Memorize that mask, because you may want to ask her some questions later on. So she's wearing blue, and she will be available around the welcome table yet again. She was there when you came in, and she'll be there again to answer any questions you might have about Unity of Sarasota. Just know that Unity of Sarasota is a beacon of light and love, opening minds and touching hearts and transforming lives. We're an inclusive spiritual community that embraces empowering and life-affirming practical spirituality for richer living right here and right now in our lives. And we join our unity movement worldwide in creating a world that works for all. I just want to go through a couple of invitations for your participation, and I'm going to start with our health and safety moment. As I said, things were in flux the whole time I was gone. I was staying in touch with the board of trustees the whole time, and we were making new decisions. We are asking that you wear masks when you're together, that you distance unless you're sitting next to people you live with or who are part of your pod. We're asking that you not shake hands, hug, that we not touch, basically. And we are asking that we not sing out loud, certainly sing in your mind. And you know what? When you sing in your mind, you are one of the greatest singers of all time. And no one
That
can...
is so true.
No one can...
No, really true.
No one can dispute that. You should hear me. So my commitment to you is that we're doing everything that we possibly can to keep us all safe and well, and to prevent us having to close our doors to in-person gatherings again. We don't want to have to do that again. So maybe a little bit of tightening the reins right now will prevent us from having to really go big later, right? So you with me on that? Great. And there is lots of sanitizer everywhere in this building. Use it liberally, please. We do have sanitizer sprayers, so we're doing that as well. So know that we're doing our very, very best to keep us all safe. I also want to thank a lot of folks. There were a lot of folks who stepped up. You saw, some of you who were here the last couple of weeks saw some really fantastic guest speakers and musicians. And I really appreciate them being here to fill in for me and do a terrific job. There are lots of people behind the scenes, and so rather than name everybody and miss someone, I just want to say to all of you who stepped up and kept everything going beautifully, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for keeping this community the wonderful place that it is. So thank you all. I appreciate it so much. And I do want to... I want to tell you just a tad bit. I took a week of vacation, and I had the opportunity to go from here to Atlanta area and visit my older brother. And then my best friend and I went on vacation together, Lisa. And we went then from there to Virginia to visit her brother and his family. And we spent a little bit of time there. And then we went from there to Chautauqua, New York, to this conference. It's a summer-long conference. It's 9 weeks, and it's musicians and philosophers and politicians even. Well, not really politicians, people who know about politics. Spiritual people, religious, you name it. Every aspect of human life is represented there, and each week has a different theme. And so I got to be in week 4, and I had the opportunity to do the Sunday service for Unity of Chautauqua there at the grounds, and do meditations every morning throughout the week, and to also do a workshop presentation. And I will say that I believe I represented Unity of Sarasota well and made us proud, and people were impressed and said, "Oh, we'll have to come visit you sometime." I said, "Yes, you will. Please do." So I had a great time. It was wonderful to be able to do that and feel so honored to have been asked to do that. And then I took another week of vacation after that, and we explored the Hudson Valley of New York, which if you haven't been there, do it. It's quite interesting, lovely little towns all around. And then we left there and went to Delaware to visit a friend of mine that I've known since I was like 20-something, early 20s, and that was just delightful. And then Lisa dropped me off at BWI, Baltimore Washington International, and I flew home, and she's still vacationing. That's how it is when you don't have to come back. But anyway, I'm glad to be back. I feel rested. I feel excited. And good things are happening. Now, here's the one thing I will say, and this is not optional. Start saving your money because I want you all to go to Chautauqua sometime. It is fantastic. And I think we should go. I'm going to reorder some of our Unity t-shirts. Jerry, could you stand up and show everybody our Unity t-shirt? It's got all the spiritual symbols and says, praise well with others, Unity of Sarasota. We'll all wear our t-shirts, get on a bus, and go to Chautauqua and show them what Unity of Sarasota is really all about. You with me? Start saving your money. We're going. It may not be this coming year, but it's soon. All right? Trust me, you will thank me. All right, terrific. So thank you again, all of you who made it possible for me to be away. I really appreciate it. And what I would ask is that you love and share on all of your social media. Click all the loves, the shares, the clicks, the likes, all those things you can do, so that you can let people know where you're hanging out and invite them. And better yet, invite them in person. And the really wonderful person would drive by and pick them up, bring them here. Anyway, invite everybody that you know, and then silence your phones so it doesn't interfere with the sound system. We appreciate it. And guess what today is? Birthday Sunday. Who is celebrating an August birthday? Anybody? Yeah, stand up and be recognized. Woo!
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, everybody. Happy birthday to you. And anniversaries too.
We have a tradition here at Unity of Sarasota that if you're celebrating a birthday or an anniversary, it could be the anniversary of when you became a member here, it could be the anniversary of your first visit here, it could be the anniversary of your wedding, could be the anniversary of when you met that special person, could be the birthday of your grandchildren, could be your birthday, could be your sobriety, but could be. So basically, if you're still breathing, you should celebrate. And what we do is we have this tradition where we give $1 for each year that we're celebrating, and that goes to paying for this gorgeous renovation of our sanctuary. So we appreciate that. You'll be immortalized in this very room.
Susie, are
So
these
thank you.
envelopes still out there in the seats or no?
I don't think we have the special envelopes, so if you'd grab an envelope and just write on it birthday, and we'll make sure it goes in the right
There you
spot.
go. Well, if you want one, I got one. So
Yeah. We'll put it all in Rob's envelope.
there, that's fine.
There you
Just
go.
Let me know.
All right. And so Rob's going to sing our Unity song, and remember, you're going to sing in your own minds and be fabulous. Correct.
Every prayer is answered. Every prayer is heard. Every thought and feeling, every spoken word, what your soul has longed for, what your heart can feel is already here, is already real. There is no one out there, there is no one else. You hold all the answers deep inside yourself. There's a voice that whispers, there's no you, no me. There's just one, there's just unity. One power, one presence, one light to darkest and your eyes can't see. Gather all your troubles, give them all to me. I am always with you. I will always be. I am one. I am unity. We are one. We are unity.
Let's take that idea of unity deep into our soul and move into prayer. And so I invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Otherwise, a soft gaze somewhere that allows you to simply be present in this moment. And so we will do as we always do. Breathe in deeply to the center of your being and allow the breath to fill your heart, knowing that it is the breath of spirit. And then release the breath fully. And again, breathe in deeply to the center of your being and imagine that breath of God gently hugging and surrounding and massaging your heart. And then release the breath. And again, breathe in deeply, knowing that it is the in-breath, the inspiration of spirit. Hold the space and then breathe out and know that it is the out-breath of God as you. Each time we breathe in the experience of Father, Mother, God, Spirit, and each time we exhale, we breathe out our own individualized expression of that one. And so we continue to breathe in, breathe out in that divine flow and circulation that is the goodness of God, breathing us. Just allow yourself to rest in the peace and surrender of spirit within and all around you. Let this be a reminder that we are expressing ourselves individually, uniquely, diversely, and yet we remain one in the unity of all creation and all life. We are one. We are simply one. And as we remind ourselves of this truth, we send out the love in our hearts to all sentient beings everywhere. And we see them as complete, perfect, and whole. And we particularly send out healing energy to those who may have a challenge of any kind, but most particularly at this time, during this pandemic, that we send out the love and the white light of protection that is God itself, surrounding each of us, filling each of us up to overflowing. We send that healing light and that healing energy to all of those who may be ill or hurting in any way, in mind, body, or spirit. And we see them as whole. And we see that healing, bringing them vitality and energy and richness, and returning to their perfect wholeness. We know that as we send those prayers out, they come back to us in that divine flow and circulation that is Father, Mother, God, Spirit. For this remembrance of the truth of who we are, I am grateful, deeply grateful. And so it is. And together we say, thank God within and all around me. Amen. And so let's say our statement of being together. The slides will commence in a moment. And you can say that, here's the deal. When you sing, you got to be at least 16 feet apart with a mask on. When you speak, you don't have to be as far apart. So you can speak these words powerfully into your mask, and guess what? They're going to come right back at you. All right? So together, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life. God, who is perfect life, perfect intelligence, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am an individualized expression of God. You are an individualized expression of God. We are individualized expressions of God. So I want to call Julie Donnelly up. On the first Sunday, we do a community connection. And so, Julie, are you on your way? She's running the gauntlet back there. Here she comes. Here she comes. Julie Donnelly is one of our extraordinary volunteers. She's done a lot of different things. And all during the pandemic, she learned to run our camera, our live stream camera, and has continued to do that now. And I'm really grateful. And actually, Julie may be one of the reasons why I'm even here, because she's the one that said, hey, you should check this place out. And so here we are. So Julie Donnelly, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Cool. So let me start this so that I won't overstay my welcome. There, okay. When Reverend Susie invited me today to be the congregant of the day, I was so honored. And then she told me that the topic was be as little children. So I started thinking about children. So I have 2 children, I have 6 grandchildren. So I've been around kids a lot through the years and what they taught me. So I wanted to show you my 2 youngest grandchildren, who are now 18. When they were really little, I was teaching, you know how you teach them the alphabet? So I was teaching them the alphabet. And Kate, when she did this one, she was 3. And I wrote A, B, C, D all the way down. And the blue is my 3-year-old Kate replicating what I was doing. You may notice that the B looks like an infinity symbol, right? But never did Kate look at this and say, wow, I'm not as good as Mom. She thought she was really great, right? Then Jack came in. Well, Jack is 9 at this point. Well, he can do it so much better. And so he wrote his. You'll notice he wrote his name. She wrote her name. And he was really proud because he could write now. So 2 years later, Aiden, who's also now 18, I decided to do the same thing with him. So I wrote the alphabet. And Aiden, who is now 5, and so much better than Kate was at 3, he wrote, you'll notice the C was upside down, but then he saw that it was upside down, so he corrected it. And he wrote his name too. I ended up, like any grandmother, I had their pictures up on the wall. And we do this. Well, this one I realized was so important because never did the kids say, I can't do it like Mom did it. I just quit. I quit. I'm giving up. Your babies, if you've been around babies, I imagine all of us have at some point, your babies, when they start walking, they don't fall down and then go, wow, look at them. They're all walking. I can't do it. And they quit. They don't do that. They keep going. When you were learning how to ride a bike, you fell off, but you got back on, and you did it again. And you kept doing it until you could ride the bike, or drive a car, or do any of the other things that we do. We don't quit. The problem is, when we get older, we start to judge ourselves. And we don't judge ourselves favorably too often. I mean, sometimes we may. But too often we say, and I'm so guilty when it comes to technology. You know that stupid little thing with the screen? And too often, and I'm so grateful for this talk because it's reminded me. I'll try something and I'll go, oh, forget it, I can't do that. There's got to be somebody who I can hire them so they can do it for me. And I quit. But then these have been hanging close to my bed for years. I mean, the kids are now 18. They did it when they were 3 and 5. And I look at it every single day. And I'll go, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I learned how to walk. I learned how to drive a car. Shh, 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 shh. Stop. Stop. Yeah. Whoop. So much for that idea. Anyway, so I don't quit. I may not like it, but I don't quit. So I made this sign. It says, never give up. Kate, when she was 8 years old, made this little bitty sign here. And it says, be live in your sleff. Okay? Kate, at 8 years old, didn't look at it and say, oh, I'm going to kill myself. I misspelled. No, she looked at it and she was proud. She was proud because she would believe in her sleff. So, in closing, a little card that I have here, that I have on my mirror in the bathroom says, whatever the struggle, continue the climb. It may only be one more step to the summit. So don't quit. Hang in there, do it, and be live in your sleff.
Thank you, Julie, and your grandchildren. We appreciate that. Oh, your mask. Thank you so much. And I will testify, Julie is one of the people that I know in my life who does not give up. Yay. You learned.
Got a great song by J.D. Martin and a few others that wrote this with him, Joe Henry and Doug Johnson, called Out of the Shadows. When I was small, tall people told me you should be seen and not heard. But last night I dreamed the children were speaking and the whole world was listening to their words. You be the spark, I'll be the candle, we'll light a fire the darkness can't handle. Fuel it with love, love makes it grow. Together we'll come out of the shadows. If one drop of rain turns into a river that cuts through a mountain to reach the sea, then why can't a word spoken in kindness cut through the blindness and set us free? You be the spark, I'll be the candle, we'll light a fire the darkness can't handle. Fuel it with love, love makes it grow. Together we'll come out of the shadows into the light with open eyes. Don't you think it's time? You be the spark, I'll be the candle, we'll start a fire the darkness can't handle. Fuel it with love, makes it grow. Together we'll come out of the shadows. You be the spark, I'll be the candle. We'll light a fire the darkness can't handle. Fuel it with love, love makes it grow. Together we'll come out of the shadows. Together we'll come out of the shadows. Together we'll come out of the shadows.
Thank you, Rob. I want to begin with our community core value affirmation. And I'm going to ask that you recite this with me, if you would. These are community core values that we discern together. We heal false beliefs and reveal our wholeness and oneness through the spiritual practices of visioning, catching God's vision, meditation, affirmative prayer, spiritual study, giving of time, talent, and treasure, sacred service, and more. And as I've said more than a few times, anything that you approach with an open and loving and peaceful and sacred heart can become a spiritual practice. So anything that you do that brings you to that place of center and peace can be a spiritual practice. Would we like to reveal to them what the talk title is? There we go. All right. Be as little children. I want you to notice what they're wearing because it'll become relevant later in the talk. Truly, I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 18:3. Now, some versions of this particular passage say it this way: unless you repent, meaning change your inner self. Repent also comes from the French word repense, which means to rethink or think again and change your life. But it's an inward change that manifests outwardly. Unless you repent and become like little children tend to be, and I'm talking really little children, like the ones Julie was talking about, they tend to be trusting and humble and pure and innocent, and yet they're filled with original wisdom, much like all of us were filled with original wisdom at one time, until someone talked us out of it. Unless you repent and become like little children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. That kingdom that is within us already, right here and right now, and always has been. That kingdom of peace and harmony and oneness and wholeness and all things good already exists within us. Now, when this passage came about, it comes about after the apostles had been competing and vying for position as the best disciples. Everybody wanted to be the best disciple, Jesus' favorite. And during this time, they had been showing a lot of rivalry and jealousy and pridefulness and personal ambition. And so they came to Jesus and they asked, who will be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? Which one of us will be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus answered, truly I tell you, unless you become like little children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. That was his warning to them. That was his advice to them. Unless you change and become like little children, unless you change, part of that change is to turn away from pride and self-serving ambition, to turn away from that and to regain our childlike qualities of pure innocence and trust and humility and faith. Things little kids sort of come by naturally. Become like little children. Jesus pointed, now remember I said earlier that in the time of Jesus, children were not highly regarded, and they weren't always treated terribly well. I think many people saw them as a burden. But Jesus points to the attributes of little children as the qualities required for entrance into the kingdom of heaven, that place of peace and alignment with spirit. Now, some of these attributes, of course, the ones that I've mentioned before, but also teachableness, wisdom, collaboration, creativity. These are all some of those attributes of little children. Just like Julie was pointing out, that they didn't say, oh, I can't do this very well, so I won't do it at all. Oh, my letters don't look as good as yours, so I'm giving up. They didn't do that. Kids don't do that. They leap right in fearlessly. They don't know so much the thing that we've learned as adults to compare. I'm not as good as, you're not as good as, I'm better than, I'm worse than. They don't learn that until a little bit later. You will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Rivalry, jealousy, pridefulness, competitiveness, and personal ambition will render you so far from being one greater than another that you will not even enter the kingdom of heaven at all. The kingdom of heaven is available to every single one of us right here, right now, right in this very moment. It is within you. It is at hand in this very moment. And too many of us are living outside ourselves, outside of that kingdom of heaven that exists within us. And so our task is to become childlike without becoming childish. There's a difference. Childlike qualities that I've mentioned already. Not childish qualities where we're petty and throw a tantrum and got to have our way. You know those. If you're parents, you definitely know them. I only know them from firsthand experience of being one of those kids. So our task is to become childlike without becoming childish. Now, very young children don't seek to be the authority figure necessarily. Don't seek to necessarily be in charge and push all the other kids around. I'm talking really little kids, right? They don't tend to notice the outer distinctions. They just, everybody's all alike. I remember one time I had just moved to White Sands Missile Range, New Mexico, and I hadn't started school yet, so I think I was 6, maybe 6, yeah. And I went out behind our house, which was desert, and there were these 3 or 4 little boys were out there playing, boys that looked like to be about my age. And they were out there playing, and so I went out and, I thought, well, maybe these will be some friends, right? And so I stood there, and they had a roll of lifesavers, and they were handing them out, one for you, 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 and uneven number. What do we do now? And the one kid said, well, give it to her. And the other kid said, but she's a girl. And said, well, give it to her anyway. Kids, at some point, they start to see distinctions, but they realize that they really are not that important, those distinctions. So the girl got a lifesaver, okay? So our task is to become that child that sees that equality in all. Really little children are free of malice. They're teachable, they're trusting, they're collaborative, they're creative, they're fearless, they jump in, they live life to the fullest. But you know what? All too soon, they begin to have a less positive disposition. All too soon. They learn more negative ideas and ways of being at an all too early age. It doesn't take long at all, and it unfortunately happens right about school age. We literally teach that pure, innocent wisdom out of them. We begin to show them distinctions and comparisons, and you're good and you're not. You're in the blue reader group and you're in the red reader group, and all of a sudden, I'm in the red reader group. That must mean something terrible. Right? You obviously were in the red reader group too. And you know, as we get older and farther away from actually being a little child, it's harder and harder to maintain those childlike attributes, to pull them out from the very center of our being and feel them and experience them and express them again. You know why? Because we're told, grow up. We're told we can't trust anybody or anything. We're told that life is hard and unfair, so just deal with it. We're taught to compete, to be the best, to be at the top, to look good, to be successful, whatever that means, and give up whatever it takes to get there. When I was in ministerial school, I decided to do an internship at the church that I was attending there in Seattle. We always did a family summer camp over on the Hood Canal. Beautiful place. And I decided I would do an internship for ministerial school and that I would be working with the 5 to 7-year-olds. And as it got closer to the time and I'm headed there to Seebeck, I go, what was I thinking? I have not been a 5 to 7-year-old for quite some time. I have no clue what to do with 5 to 7-year-olds. And I was a little panicky. But what I thought was, you know, at the time, I was a business consultant. I was a corporate consultant. I worked with corporate executives doing team building and leadership development and organizational development and visioning, all that sort of thing. And a lot of the work that I did, I used experiential activities or experiential games to teach them business and life lessons. And so I got this brilliant idea. I thought, I'm going to take some of those corporate game props with me, and I'll somehow figure out something to do with 5 to 7-year-olds with these things, right? So, yeah, already you can see it's coming. So I decided, okay, I'm going to do that. So this one day, I decided I'm going to do this activity called Egg Drop. And I've done it many times with corporate executives. And the idea is that you get an envelope filled with certain materials. Everybody gets the same materials, same amount of materials, and you get a raw egg. And your task is to package the egg in such a way that when it is dropped from 6 feet into a bus tub, that the egg survives. Okay. So I must tell you that most of the corporate executives' eggs do not survive. So I'm thinking, well, I'll do this with the kids and, you know, it'll be kind of a fun experiment. And so I tell them, here are your envelopes. They're sitting at round tables in groups. Here, each table gets an envelope. Here's your egg. All your materials are there. And I had all the extra materials that I'd filled the envelopes with in the back of the room behind me. And I said, your task is you're going to carefully package your egg so that when we drop it, it doesn't break. And you can use all the things there. And that's basically all I said. Now, when I said that to the corporate executives, immediately what they heard was, this is a competition. We need to beat all the other teams. And we need to be the first ones done, the fastest, the brightest, the best. And what I noticed with the corporate executives was not only did they compete with each other, but they also competed in their own groups. And lo and behold, most of the eggs broke. With the little kids, I noticed something very, very different. They immediately began working well together at their tables. And then very, very quickly, they started working with each other across tables. They're helping each other. They're trading materials. They're helping the other ones. Some guys got a little quicker and they went and helped the other ones. And a couple of bright bulbs went to the back of the room and got more materials. I never said you couldn't. I never said you couldn't work together. I never said any of those things. And they didn't hear them. The corporate executives did. Okay. So they packaged the eggs. And I said, okay, it's time to see how we did. And so I'm ready to drop from 6 feet. And they go, no. We want to go up to the second floor and drop them out the window into the bus tub down below. And I'm like, I'm terrified because I'm thinking all of the eggs will break. The kids will all be crying. They'll be traumatized for life, and their parents will hate me. And I'm like, oh, please, God, please, God. So, but they insisted. So we go upstairs to where the middle schoolers are, And we open the window, the bus tub's down below, and they all start dropping their eggs. We go running down. All the eggs survived. Pretty impressive. Well, meanwhile, the middle schoolers are all looking at this and go, whoa, we want to do that too. I'm like, okay. Same instructions, they do their thing. And I would say only half of the eggs survived. So already, when they start getting a little bit bigger than this, they start to compete. They start to see things as us and them. I've got to win and lose, instead of win-win. So, I don't know, that was the corporate one. Corporate doesn't look too good. Oh yeah. I'll be eating that after church. So just a little, nice little lesson from the children. Just as Julie learned and continues to learn every day from her grandchildren, we can learn from those kids too. Collaboration, cooperation always goes further toward win-win than competition ever does. And do try this at home. But remember this, unless you change and become like little children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven within you. We all become adults. The question is, what kind of adults do we become? From Jesus' own words in Matthew 18:3, we can deduce that there is a time when children reach an age that God does not consider them to be children anymore. We become adults. But if we hope to enter the kingdom of heaven, we must be transformed and become like little children, the little children we previously were. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind and your heart, your spirit. We must shift. We must shift from competition and jockeying for position into cooperation and collaboration, to win-win. And we're called to transmute from being children of God to being childlike adults of God. So how do we reclaim our childlike attributes in adulthood? The only answer that I can give you, and I fully believe it, is through spiritual practice. Spiritual practices, just like we talked about in the first, in the core value affirmation. Spiritual practices of catching God's vision, of meditation, of affirmative prayer, of a spiritual study, of service, of giving of our time, talent, and treasure. Spiritual practices develop a deeper relationship with Father, Mother, God, Spirit within and all around us. We do that to expand our trust and faith in the goodness of God, the goodness of life, the goodness of the world, the goodness of all. We do that to collaborate and support others, one another, our spiritual community, our greater community, our world, and to make it a place that works for all. If we believe that we are one and that we are in unity with all of creation and all of life, that's what's required of us. To be so in alignment with Spirit within and all around us that we begin to be that very Spirit ourselves. We must activate the basic teachings and principles of our unity teachings and of our community core values in our lives, in our daily lives, in all aspects of our lives, to practice spiritual living as a default lifestyle rather than a Sunday-only lifestyle. Childlike adults recognize that we are all equal and all one in God. And we work to increase and support that consciousness in ourselves and in one another. We support organizations and individuals and programs that lift people to experience that truth and that consciousness to a much greater degree in all aspects of life. We bring this consciousness into our participation here at Unity of Sarasota and in all aspects and all places that we interact. Imagine that world. That is the world that we're creating a world that works for all. That's how we get there. We turn our children of God into childlike adults of God who are deep in spiritual practice and activate that practice in our lives. Blessings on your journey of being as little children. Expand that into becoming a childlike adult of God. And so it is. And together we say, thank God within and all around us. Amen.
This song works better when you're all singing, but you can't sing, so it sing in your mind. This is a praising. Yeah, it's called Praise My Life, I Raise My Life, and In the Name of Love. And then we change some words while we go through this. So I praise my life, I raise my life in the name of love. I praise my life, I raise my life in the name of love. I praise the world. I praise the world, I raise the world in the name of love. I praise the world, I raise the world in the name of love. I praise my neighbor. I praise my neighbor, I raise my neighbor in the name of love. I praise my neighbor, I raise my neighbor in the name of love. Sister, I praise my sister, I raise my sister in the name of love. I praise my sister, I raise my sister in the name of brother. I praise my brother, I raise my brother in the name of love. I praise my brother, I raise my brother in the name of love. Family, I praise my family, I raise my family in the name of love. I praise my family, I raise my family in the name of love. Here's the children one. I praise my children, I raise my children in the name of love. I praise my children, I raise my children in the name of love. Now yourself. I praise myself, I raise myself in the name of love. I praise myself, I raise myself in the name of love. I praise my life. I praise my life, I raise my life in the name of love. I praise my life, I raise my life in the name of love. Yeah, and you can do that all day long, driving home, in your car.
You guys sounded fabulous. Totally. I'm going to invite any of our chaplains who are present to please come forward. These are our prayer chaplains, and they are available to you to be in prayer with and for you for a greater experience of life, a greater experience of being as little children and childlike adults of God. Here comes David as well. So let's thank them for their service. And I also want to invite you to our Wednesday evening service, both in person and it is live streamed. It's Wednesday, 7 p.m. And this Wednesday, the theme is prayer for others, and Elaine Silver and I will be doing the music that evening. So please think about joining us. It's a very different service than this. Very lovely, nice little peaceful spiritual oasis in the middle of the week. And so we would love for you to come for that. Okay, so we're doing our tithes and offerings somewhat differently at this time so that we don't have to handle things and pass things and all of that. And so there will be some lovely people at the doors on your way out who will gratefully accept whatever gift it is that you are planning to give. It may be a gift of prayer or blessing. It may be a check. It may be a credit card number. It could be, who knows? Could be cash money. Who has that anymore? And I know some of you mail your things in or you on automatic or whatever. So what I would ask that you do so that you can participate in the energy of it is just bless the offering plate as you go by. And just know whatever it is that you give from your heart is perfect. And so I would invite you to hold whatever gift you're giving, either physically or metaphorically, hold it to your heart and infuse it with all of those attributes of little children, of trust, of faith, of collaboration, of joy, of laughter, of excitement, all of those things that you are reminded of when you see little children that remind you of that little child in you. Bring all of those energies forward and infuse it into your gift, and it will travel with the gift, and we will all be as little children. And for this we are very grateful. And so together we say our affirmation. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive abundantly. And so it is.
Prayer for protection?
Prayer
for protection?
Yeah. Hey, I've been away for 3
It's been
weeks. I
2
forgot
weeks,
what
I
I was
know.
doing next. Part of me apparently is still on vacation. Okay, so what we'll be doing, usually used to hearing a song after that, but that's not what's happening. So therefore, I'm going to invite you to stand, if you will, and we'll say our prayer of protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. To God our Creator, family all are we. Yes, we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every breath I take, yes, this is my joyous vow to take